I seen an article. I read an article. I seen it, then I read it. It's vegan propaganda. So, just letting you know. And I can read propaganda from vegans, and I can read propaganda from internet keto, whatever you want to call it. Low carb, internet keto, fake keto, whatever. So it's like they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Vegan propaganda is going to be closer to what it should be. So, and they're not. It's when they're pushing agendas, they're going to leave stuff out. They're not going to say the whole thing. That's the way it goes, which isn't right. So this was about calcium, and there, when it comes to calcium, everything that I've ever read or everything that I've ever seen, it's either completely science geeky, which is fine. That's actually okay if it's coming from a source, the real source, not just someone like me who's trying to sound like I'm smart. That's what most of the other people are. They're just people. They're trying to sound like they're smart, and they're reciting what is, either studied or is like a known fact, and they're just reciting it and trying to sound smart to the audience, and no one, or it's like there's an agenda. So, and this goes with everything. When it comes to calcium, nobody's getting like the actual, how much of this should you actually eat? Like people say, on one side they say you don't need to have animal products such as dairy products, right? Which would be rich in calcium, right? On the other side, they say you need to eat an abundance of dairy products, right? So both of those are right and wrong. But in the middle is where people who are looking for, if you're looking for the optimal choice, you have to take all sides and you have to understand where the truth is in that. So, and the truth always leans towards the vegan propaganda, because if it's plant-based, more plant-based and whole foods lifestyle is going to be the way to go. But they leave out a lot of things. So what's recommended? Recommended calcium is like 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams. Now, experts, you can put big quotations around experts, but there are people who say, and I don't know where their expertise comes from, but there's people who say that this is true. Oh, by the way, this is true. So if you eat a whole foods diet, you're going to absorb calcium better, right? Because everything's about absorption, everything. So, what we absorb is what's most important. So they would say about half of that, so like 500 to 700 milligrams is what you need a day for your daily value, rather than 1,000 to 1,200. So that makes sense. The better you eat, the less you're going to need, right? But what people don't know what better is, what good is, you know what I mean? So what's recommended is 1,000 to 1,200, and that's also saying dairy products are going to have going to be your best source. And then they throw in other stuff that are plants, like stuff with like nuts and greens such as this, and fortified processed foods such as this, which they put in calcium. So that's all good, right? People can get, okay, these foods, beans, if you're talking about the whole food side, beans, kale, broccoli, Brazilian nuts, chia seeds, these things right here, right? They throw out that stuff, right? So that's all fine. Those are your choices. Do you just want to consume dairy? Okay, then you're going to probably need to be eating more calcium, being that, the absorbability of it isn't as good. And also depending on what else you're eating. Because no matter what, with with all micronutrients, if you're drinking alcohol, if you're drinking coffee, if you're eating junk food, if you're eating lots of processed food that's not even junk food, but it's just processed, like breads and pastas and stuff like that, you would consider not, junk food, like not donuts. That's all going to affect how we absorb the micronutrients, which that's the most important part. That's the most important thing of how we should eat, because micronutrient efficiency is it's what's the most important with hormone balance. Hormone balance, micronutrient efficiency. It's not it's not trying to lower your calories and trying to, macros and all the stuff people talk about. That's not important. What's important is micronutrients, being able to absorb what you need across the board with everything, every day, with whole foods. Preferably, that's the best choice, right? Whole foods, real food. So this is real food, and this is processed. Okay, even the orange juice, this is processed. So when it comes to calcium, let's just say anywhere between 500 and 1200 milligrams, right? Now, the article I was reading was very good. It was saying, it was giving people choices, other than dairy, right? But me being that I'm someone who gets my calcium from whole foods, like I don't get my calcium from this stuff. I bought this for the purpose of this video, and I'm gonna slowly add it to my smoothies, but I'm not gonna waste it. But this is what most people should do. Like I always say, most people should be eating processed foods. Try to get the best ones, like unsweetened. This is unsweetened almond milk, and this is orange juice that's fortified with vitamin D and calcium, and it has less junk in it. You know what I mean? So these are the kinds of things people should, and good breads, like sprouted breads, whole grains. People should be eating. People who want to stay dumb and they don't want to, they're just like, hey man, I just want to just be healthier than what I've been. They should be eating this kind of stuff every day. That way they can get nutrition that they don't know how to get. Like calcium's one, potassium's another one. There's all of them really, but potassium's another one that most people are going to be deficient in potassium no matter how they eat, because they don't know what they need, and they don't know what it takes to reach that. So if you're doing this route, you're going to need to be on the higher end of 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams, because you're not going to be absorbing. This is basically like taking a supplement, which that would be like a last resort. But you're better off doing something like this than a supplement. And it's fortified with other stuff in it too, like vitamin D and vitamin C, and sometimes in these they put B vitamins. I don't know if they have B's in here, but they got vitamin A and vitamin E, and sometimes in these things they put like B's, and because people will not eat the right way, even if they're trying to eat like this. Okay, especially if they're trying to eat like this, they will not eat correctly, and they will be deficient in everything, because they're in a hurry to hurry up and try and get through life. That's the way it's. So they're going down the tubes. But that's if you want to do that, go ahead. You'll go down the tube slower if you make sure you get enough good processed foods in your body every day. That way you're at least giving yourself, the numbers when it comes to requirements, like something like calcium. You're going to give yourself the numbers, right? Drink a couple of glasses of orange juice a day, and you're going to give yourself at least the numbers. Doesn't mean you're going to absorb it all, but if you want to do it the whole food way, which vegan side, they leave this kind of stuff out, man. They leave out what it takes, the volume that it takes for everything, okay? So they say stuff about, beans and nuts and kale and spinach and broccoli and all these things that have calcium in it, right? So if you're going to do that, you need to know how much of it you have to eat to be able to get your calcium. So first of all, take out beans, eat beans, but don't count the calcium you're going to have in beans, in the amount of beans you can eat, unless you eat this much beans, right? It's going to be a few percent. Same thing with like chia. What do you need to eat chia seeds for? If you do, you're going to have a little bit in your smoothie, right? You don't need the other stuff that goes with it. Beans are okay, but you can't eat that many beans. You know what I mean? Some people can eat more, but most people can't even eat beans at all. Nuts, you know what I mean? Seeds, the fat, you don't need all that fat because hormone balance. You want to eat optimally for hormone balance. That's fat. You're going to be imbalanced. The balance there is too high in fat for how many nuts you're going to have to eat, how many seeds you're going to have to eat. You know what I mean? You're going to get a surplus of fat that you don't need. Then your other fat that you're going to already be eating, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to just not eat that? But because the other stuff that's in that fat, in the optimal choices, such as like eggs with the yolks, which is the optimal choice, there's other things in there that you're eating for too. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm not going to eat egg yolks, so I can eat Brazilian nuts. And you're still going to have to eat way more Brazilian nuts than you would the egg yolks. You know what I mean? It's impossible to do. So the only real way to get enough calcium with whole foods, really, the only real way is through like greens, broccoli. People can't eat enough broccoli. So I like to say, this is kale. I only put this in my smoothies. This is chopped spinach. These are like my reserves. I like fresh, but I keep these frozen. That way, if I run out of fresh, I dump these in my smoothies. Baby spinach is the way to go for everyone, okay? But how much of it do you need, right? How much of it do you need? Because people think, oh, a couple of handfuls of spinach. That's nothing. This whole bag right here, this whole bag contains 100. This whole bag will contain less than 450-ish milligrams. This whole bag. This is frozen. This is 12 ounces of frozen kale. So if this wasn't frozen, it would be a ton of kale, right? And this is still less than 500 milligrams of calcium. So if you were going to go up into the 1,000 range, you need to eat 2 of these in a day. 2 of them, okay? I just finished. I threw it away, but a bag of spinach. I try to eat like a big bag of spinach a day. And that is still only about this much calcium. So I try to get, I don't eat 1,000 milligrams of calcium. But I try to eat over 500. So if I just kind of regulate it by, hey, I eat a bag of spinach a day, a big bag of spinach. That's a lot. Most people won't even do that. Most people won't even eat a handful of spinach. So what do those people need to do? They need to go this route right here, or dairy. Now, I don't do dairy. A lot of people don't want to do dairy, right? But those are the options. Dairy isn't the optimal choice either. The optimal choice is this way, but it has to be done correctly. And people are too, they don't even care, man. People don't care. They don't understand the difference. They don't understand this right here, going this way, the proper way, you can add a decade or more to your life. This right here can just keep you, this and dairy, it can keep you just going on the pace that you're going, right? But if you want to like actually, do something, anti-aging for reals, not just read about it or listen to someone talk about it or talk about it. You have to do it correctly, and you have to understand what it takes, and that's it for calcium. That's what it takes. So for everything else, it takes the same thing. And there's other stuff that's in these things besides the calcium, but this is one specific thing, and it's calcium, and it's how to get enough calcium. And those are the ways. Those are the ways. There's other things I'll throw in, like eating sardines with bones. Who's going to do that, right? That's probably a better choice than dairy. But how much sardines, you have to figure out how much sardines with bones are you going to eat. You're not going to eat that many. You're not going to eat enough. That stuff, or eating dried fruit. Who's going to eat that much dried fruit? look and see how many milligrams are in the dried fruit and see how much dried fruit you have to eat. It's not doable. The only thing that is doable is greens. Greens is really the only thing that's doable. A lot of them. Like, not even broccoli, unless someone who can really eat a ton of broccoli. But you got to eat a lot of, the volume has to be high. I can't eat that much broccoli. I can't eat as much broccoli as I can eat kale and spinach. I can't even really eat kale. I got to mix it up. Now, cooked kale is going to be, you're going to absorb it better. Cooked spinach, you're going to absorb it better too. You got to know that. But I just go, hey, I'm just going to eat it raw and I'm just going to mix it in smoothies, and that's how I do it. But, you know what I mean? You got to know these things. And nobody says them. They just say, you know, this and this and that. Now you want to, that's the vegan side, right? They're saying good things, but they're leaving out the volume. And this right here, you have to eat this whole thing. If you're eating whole foods, you got to eat this to get your calcium every day. Okay? You got to eat that much. Who's going to do it? I would say most 99.9999% of people who even eat whole foods won't do it. They won't do it. So, and they don't even know to do it. You know, they get happy about eating whole foods and they eat this much of what they need. And they're deficient, and they do this across the board with everything. With everything. So, that's not healthy either, to be deficient in micronutrients, which is the most, that's what I put at the top. Micronutrient deficiency, hormone balance. The two go hand in hand. Hormone balance, now you're thinking more, it's just a way to think of like, hey, that's from your fats. So you want the best choices. But micronutrients, man, there's so many of them. You got to figure out what's in your foods and what you're eating and you know, and then it's like, hey, like I said with the nuts. Okay, you can eat enough nuts, Brazilian nuts, to get the calcium that you need, but you're going to be eating too much fat, and you're not going to eat that many Brazilian nuts. You're going to get sick. You're not going to eat that many. So if you want to spread everything out and eat a little bit of beans, and that's fine too. If you want to eat a little bit of broccoli, a little bit of beans, a little bit of nuts. Let's say you want to throw a little bit of sardines with bones, and, you know, even a little bit of milk, eat a little bit of cheese. So let's say you want to do that. Okay, that's okay. But understand now you got to know where you're getting, what you're getting in each one of those things. Okay, I'm like 700, 800, 1,000, wherever you want to be, in between 500 and 1,200, wherever you feel like you should be. And if you can do that every day, that's okay. But just know it. Know it. This is why I just think I do greens just because, not even for just the calcium. But that's something that it's hard for me to get in anything else, being the way that I eat. Because most things I eat are low in calcium, you know? The way that I eat a lot of fruit. So, I eat a lot of fruit, I eat rice, you know, I eat eggs, I eat oats, you know, the way that I eat. And I will occasionally throw in some like salmon and stuff like that when I need it. And oysters and stuff like that. But that's rare. So, hopefully that helps. And you will never ever hear that from anyone. No one will ever say that. At the highest levels, they don't talk like that. And you want to go to the other side? You want to go to the fake keto side? Most every which way that they have a plan for people to eat, they're deficient in more things than the vegan side. That's why the vegan, if it's plant-based, it's closer, but deficiencies are going to be there too. Not even just in like the B12, which is the obvious and stuff like that, omegas and B12, but stuff that you would think you wouldn't pay attention to, like calcium and other things too, because it's the volume. They're not telling people the volume needed. It's like, do you know? Do you live this? Do you even eat that way? Or are you doing this, right? Are you doing this stuff that saves your life? This saves people's lives. This is why they make this stuff. I've been saying this for years. People need to be eating this. The average person, to stay average and just be able to skate through life, they should be doing this, and also this too. Mix it all together. Mix it all with this too, and other stuff. But this is okay. This will save your life if you just want to stay, you know, you want to like, hey, I want to get the nutrients without having to like, you know, care. Or without, I'm not, you know, that you're just trying to just make it. You're just trying to make it. You know, you're worried about, You're worried about all these other things in life. You're worried about, who's going to, if your team's going to go to the Super Bowl. You're worried about whatever celebrity you like to pay attention to, all that, right? All these things that get people sucked in to the tornado, and they're just going this way, man. Right? If that's the case, you need to be finding the best source of processed foods. I'm telling you, most people, man, they need to be, which is going to be something like this. Every day, have a couple glasses of orange juice. Have good breads, if you're not allergic. The best breads, like sprouted breads, Ezekiel breads, whole grains. Those are that's okay. Have that stuff, because it's gonna give you nutrition. It's gonna be fortified with nutrition that you don't know how to get. And if you try to eat whole foods, man, your volume goes up in everything. And that's why I say 50% of the total calories minimum. I'm 60 to 80% of my total calories from a wide variety of fruits. If you eat whole foods, that's where you're going to need to be. You're going to need to be high fruit. It's going to be 50% of your total calories. If you eat 2,500 calories, if you eat 3,000 calories, 2,500 calories, 1,250 minimum are going to be from a wide variety of fruits, and that's going to be for micronutrient deficiency. And then also you got to eat vegetables too. Preferably greens, it's just your best bet. You can go with routes, but your best bang for what you're doing is going to be with like greens, like kale and spinach, because it's easy to get at the stores. You can do bok choy, you could do all these other types of, I think they're disgusting. I think bok choy is disgusting. I think kale is kind of disgusting too. I've had it, like rainbow kale I think is okay, but baby spinach I can eat, but I'm just being honest, man. Kale doesn't taste like a freaking banana. So, it doesn't taste like this either. It doesn't taste like this either. Okay? So, do what you want to do, but understand where it's going to take you. If you want to like reverse your age, if you want to anti-age, if you want to be youthful, if you want to go backwards like that, okay? You got to know what you have to do to do it. And do it. And if not, know what you're doing too. If you're going this route, know that you're not doing anything, but you're saving your life because you're feeding yourself. But you're not gonna get any younger. You're not gonna get younger. So that's something that people really won't do. And I want people to know the way it really is. So I do videos like this, and you won't hear that about calcium. You won't hear that about anything, but you look for it. Look for someone to say what I said, and it's common sense, man. Once you start figuring out what's in it, you go, man, the volume. I gotta eat this much spinach and kale to get my calcium, right? That's what is that? That's 24 ounces to get close to 1,000 milligrams, if that's what you're shooting for, And this is frozen. It's frozen. If it's not frozen, it's going to be more. It's going to be that much kale and spinach, or to get combined, whatever. It's the same. The calcium is the same. So, and you want to go with like other greens, same thing. You want to go with stuff like green beans. It's going to be even more because there's less. So always pay attention to that. Always. Don't just get excited when you see videos saying Brazilian and it shows a nice picture or video of some, lady with nice hands holding some Brazilian nuts, like 4 of them. And there's some chia seeds and they dip their hand in the chia seeds and they you know what I mean? They do that. That's to make you feel good. But what are you going to do? Are you going to eat your calcium in chia seeds? Do you know how many you're going to have to eat? You're not going to do it. Are you going to spread it all out wide with beans and chia seeds and, like I was saying before, with everything? And even throw in, let's say you eat animal too. So you throw in sardines and you throw in dairy. How much of that you're going to have to do of each one of those things? Know it. That's one thing. There's thousands of them that we'll never ever fully know, but we need to find, we need to keep trying to figure it out and learning and and that's never ending. But the main things, which is calcium's the main one, we can get those things pretty close, and at least know, hey, you know, okay, this is what it takes, right? So anyways, enjoy your day.